values that make New York life the company you keep.
You could bring the world to the classroom with the Mac. I learned how to use iMovie. I actually started using iTunes to record speeches. I take my photos, I organize it on iPhoto. I take my camera, I cut things up on iMovie. It's the sounds, it's the music, it's the visuals. What else can I adapt to the classroom? What else can I bring to my students that will make them want to learn more? My name is Fabiola Torres, and I'm a college professor.
This is the story about the unexpected blessings of remembering, even when the memories seem too painful to bear, let alone talk about. It is the story of two men who shared a moment during a nightmare, then went their separate ways, both of them haunted by what they went through. They married, raised families, and for years kept their memories to themselves. Now the story is being told, and in more than one way, it's a blessing. Here's CNN's David Mattingly.
They liberated me, they gave me life, they gave me the sweet gift of freedom.
Freedom came very late to George Salton. Before being liberated by American soldiers at the age of 17, the young Polish Jew had survived 3 years in 10 Nazi concentration camps, losing both parents and his brother. After the war, he immigrated to the U.S., got a master's degree, raised a family, but rarely spoke of the torment he endured as a teenager. But now, 73 and retired after a career as a Pentagon engineer, it was Salton's children who overcame his reluctance and compelled him to write down every detail of his painful story.
My father carried it in his heart alone, and then I said, you can't do this alone, share it with us.
That story, the atrocities of his confinement and the cruelties of his captors, became a book called The 23rd Psalm. But what started as a labor of love for his family quickly caught the attention of another.
When I heard the name of the camp, I said, then I was Woblin. Oh, I think that was my dad.
Margaret Walsh worked for Salton's publisher. She realized the horrors he wrote about at the Wibeling concentration camp were the same ones described by her father. A 27-year-old GI at the time, William Walsh was part of a handful of U.S. soldiers liberating the camp in 1945. What he saw there haunted him the rest of his life, so much so that for decades, like Salton, he couldn't talk about it.
He didn't want to be called a hero. He said he was surrounded by heroes.
Eventually, Walsh decided he was ready to tell his story to his family, but before he could, fate intervened. He suffered a stroke that left him unable to talk. He died in 1990, leaving many unanswered questions about what he did in the war and what he saw at that camp that affected him so deeply.
The American soldiers around were helpful. They came, they shared their food with me. They gave us a piece of wonderful candy, which I only later discovered was Hershey.
Salton's gratitude toward his American liberators remains as strong as it was the day he was finally set free. And word of Walsh's passing and his family's lingering curiosity filled him with a sense of duty. Meet with Walsh's children and finish the story that Walsh himself was unable to tell.
They should know from someone like me who was personally affected by it, that it was special and that I am very grateful.
So 57 years, 4 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days since the lives of a Holocaust survivor and an American GI crossed in a Nazi concentration camp.
Hello. Hi. Hi.
Their shared legacy continues in a crowded conference room in Madison, Wisconsin.
That day he had the special opportunity to bring life to people that were beyond hope. So it was special. And I thank him. I thank all of you. And I just want you to remember that he was a special guy.
Then, new emotions of gratitude as their children come to understand the magnitude of the events that profoundly changed the lives of 2 young men and the world around them.
I've always been proud of my dad, but it's, this really just reaffirms that he was a great guy.
And at the end of their meeting, a surprise. Unknown to Salton, Walsh had captured the Nazi flag at the Wibeling camp, a symbol of so much pain from the past for one family, now tempered by an act of courage from another.
I'm glad that if this flag continues to exist, I'm glad it exists, and
your father's children's closet or attic or trunk, and not on some flagpole. So,
no, it's not. It would never. It'll never be on a flagpole.
And in a way, we find, I think, some healing today. And hopefully we can give them a way to honor the memory of their father, and that makes us feel good.
A way to keep the story of two families, silenced for half a century, alive for generations to come. David Mattingly, CNN, Madison, Wisconsin.
A few quick stories from around the world tonight, or I guess as it turns out more correctly, from Russia. In southern Russia, more than 100 people unaccounted for after a devastating landslide